Hi everyone, it's Luke at Young Writers, and I am here today with two very special, amazing people, Kate Wakeling and Elina Braslina. How are you guys doing?
Fine, yeah. Hi.
So I always start these off with the same question, but basically for anyone out there that could be a super fan, or anyone out there that may have no idea about the work you do, would you both kind of like to give us a little introduction and let us step into your world for a moment? I don't know if anyone wants to go first, but
Kate. My name is Kate Wakeling. I'm a writer, a poet. I write for adults and for children. I am the author of 2 books that are illustrated by Elina, Cloud Soup, most recently, and Moon Juice, our first collection together. And it's full of poems that explore all sorts of things, I guess, that we might be talking about at some point. But they are, yes, illustrated by Elina, the wonderful artist.
Who is?
All right, are you done? Okay, if you're done, yes, I'm Elina Braslina. I am an illustrator from Latvia, and I mostly work with Latvian authors and illustrate their books, which are mostly for children. I have with me like the first edition of Moon Juice, which was my international debut, so it was a very big deal. And I also work as a production designer for animated feature films, also in Latvia.
So I will get on to a little bit more later about kind of the relationship and how you two met and whatnot. But to start with, we're here to talk about National Poetry Day. So do you have any plans as of yet? Are you excited? What do you have going on, if you have anything at the moment?
Oh, I think I'm going to be in a school. I can't remember the exact plan, but I think I'm doing a day of poetry workshops somewhere in the country, but I can't remember where. But that's usually what happens on National Poetry Day. It's a lovely celebration, and it's always amazing in the UK to be. I usually find myself in a school somewhere, so it's kind of like Christmas Day or something for writers.
For poets, yeah. So I'm going to move on to quite a broad, open question here. So, and maybe Kate, this one's more towards you, but I'll throw it over to both of you. But what does poetry mean to you?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that is the question. Yeah.
Poetry means a huge amount to me. I feel like it's where I feel my most sort of playful. I feel like it's what I do when I'm sort of enjoying myself. I find writing a poem sort of brings me alive, but I also turn to poetry finding something kind of thorny and difficult, I often try and write a poem about it. So I guess poetry means something to me in all different stages of how I'm feeling. It kind of seems to always save the day for me.
And how about yourself, Elina?
For me, as mostly a visual person, I don't write myself, but I do like poetry, and I especially enjoy children's poetry, which tends to be more accessible, because I think I'm really bad at reading poems because I sometimes get a collection, I just rip through it, whereas I think the proper way to do it maybe would be like to read it poem by poem and let them breathe a bit, but I'm just, oh, this is so fun, but it's not a prose book, so there's definitely a different approach. But yeah, I think I really enjoy children's poems, yes.
So Kate, becoming a poet it's quite a streamlined career choice. And again, how did you kind of fall into this line of work? How did you kind of end up where you are today?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess if it's niche, certainly. I don't think I came at it in a very streamlined way. Actually, I studied music. Music was the kind of main thing I did all through my childhood, and actually as a kind of young adult, that's what I studied at university, and then I carried on studying it. I did a research degree about Indonesian music. So it was kind of always music. But then I guess I was always reading a lot, and I was writing as well. I kept a diary pretty much every day from when I was about, I think maybe when I was 9 or 10 years old. I still have those diaries. And I've always loved the idea of sort of capturing things in words. It seemed to be very early on a kind of obsession. And I think all that time with music, in a funny way, poetry is sort of, I think, kind of a meeting between words and music. You're thinking so much about the sounds of the words in a poem, perhaps more than any other kind of writing. And so I started doing lots of music writing, writing for orchestras, describing, they have something called program notes and some text that describes the music you're listening to. And I sort of really, really enjoyed doing that. And then an orchestra asked me to start writing some kind of storytelling concerts for children, which also felt really exciting. And slowly I kind of found my way into writing poems that weren't just about music. But I think that all that music training, I think, is funnily sort of how I ended up perhaps where I got to.
Yeah.
The diary writing, that was kind of weirdly, I feel like, my sort of practice. That was my practice for years and years.
I think it's always an interesting journey for everyone. You know, we speak to different authors and different people, and so many people take different journeys. You know, we've had an author who grew up in a bookshop, studied studied English at uni, studied English as a master's, came out of university, wrote a book, and you know, it was straight there. And you have other people who totally stumbled upon it by complete accident. You know, they were kind of in their 30s or something, studied something totally different, and kind of ended up here. And I think that's really beautiful in a way, because it shows you that no matter where you're going, no matter what you do, I think for many people out there, if there's a calling, if it's meant to be, almost without sounding too cliche, it will happen. And I think that's similar to yourself. But Elina, of course, I see that you are, or you kind of dabble in graphic design as well, and you are an illustrator. So how did you kind of land in children's books too?
Well, for me, it was a very specific thing, because we had a course in children's book illustration at university. I studied printmaking as my primary sort of subject. We had this course, and the first sort of assignment that I did was actually to illustrate a children's poem for this very specific small format books that are also published by the Emma Press. Some of these translations are published, called the Bicky books. And I did the school assignment, and it actually got published. So one of my first published illustrated books was actually a poetry book. And that's sort of the ball started rolling sort of after that. And I ended up doing several other projects, but the first one is always like, it's still near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, now moving on to the books as well, as you mentioned earlier, we have Cloud Soup, which is the latest release, the collaboration between you both. So to start at the beginning, how did this come about? You know, how did the book kind of come to fruition?
For Cloud Soup?
Yeah.
Like, in some ways, it's kind of a sequel. I don't know if you can call poetry books sequels, but our publisher has been calling it that, which I kind of like. It's like a exciting second sitting. So it was a kind of, we worked together on Moon Juice on my first poetry collection, and the publisher Emma Wright had met Elina and thought she was absolutely terrific and would perhaps be a good fit for my writing, and so we worked together on that, and it was a very, I think it's okay to say it was a pretty seamless, kind of joyful collaboration. It just seemed to work, and so I started writing the poems for Cloud Soup quite a few years ago, actually, quite soon after Moon Juice. But I work quite slowly. I think just generally I perhaps do work quite slowly. Actually, I take a lot of time with writing poems, and so I kind of beavered away writing them, and then we sent them through to Elina, and I feel like we don't really have a dramatic story.
No, we don't. No, there is a bit of drama, but I think.
Sorry, Elina, you go.
No, sorry, I interrupted, because I think at first it was when Emma first mentioned me that you were writing a sequel for Moon Juice, and I think the initial title was Star Pie or something.
Yes, Emma.
Yes, and I said, oh, I don't know, I have this new baby, and it's probably not going to work out, but it did work out. So actually, you're taking your time with
yes.
Actually, what made this possible in a way.
Yes,
so thank you.
We did have a hiccup. Actually, yes, I had a new baby as well. I slowed down. I became at one point. So yeah, we kind of aligned in our time to work on it at the end.
And how did you both meet in the first place for Moon Juice?
Emma. It was it was
something that was meant to be in the longer run, I think.
I think what's interesting is in the age of the pandemic is that actually this was in 2016, I think, or 2016. We actually never met. We did everything by emails and by we didn't really have Zoom calls then, but the whole thing was done remotely, which I guess felt quite unusual at the time because the English here in the UK. But now it seems like, well, of course, a standard way of working, but somehow it works out very nicely.
Yeah, I think we first met for the Clip Awards because I actually flew down to the UK to attend, and as we know, Moon Juice won also, so that was it.
So when it came to the pandemic, you two were both clued up. You knew what to do. You was already working remotely together.
Exactly.
So I imagine it was a bit easier.
Yeah, we had exactly. I think it seems that in the it just feels like a collaboration, but it's quite a simple one in the sense that Elina draws something and I think it's really brilliant. So that's
vice versa. Kate writes something and this is fun to illustrate. So yeah.
So I'm going to end on quite a broad question here, and this goes out to both of you, I think, individually. But I generally ask this to everyone, and it's a big one. But if you could broadcast one message to every kind of young writer, illustrator, poet, whoever, what would that message be from kind of yourself now, kind of looking back, you know, to someone who's kind of just starting out, maybe wants to dabble in what you guys are kind of professionally doing now? What would a piece of advice or a message be to those people?
Do you want to go first?
It's always the big one. It's the big one.
I think mine would be to keep going, to keep faith in yourself, keep writing, whatever's happening, even if you feel a bit dispirited in your writing or you're not sure what to write. If you're really stuck, write something out. Find something that you really love and write that out. I think there's something about, as you will type it out, there's something about the physical act of putting words down, even if they're not your words, if you're stuck that day, but making it part of your life and trusting that that things will flow out. Yes, I feel I've had lots of hesitancy and uncertainty in myself, and I wish now I could look back and just say, just keep going. It's okay, it doesn't matter. You can write something rubbish today, maybe you'll write something better tomorrow.
Lovely.
Yeah,
and how about yourself?
I think Kate's absolutely right. It's important to keep going, and don't be too harsh on yourself if you don't think it's good enough, because I look back on some of my earlier work and there's like, oh no, and somebody actually published this. Oh my God. It's really you know that you keep working and you're going to get better. So that's something to keep in mind. Just don't stop and don't be too hard on yourself. Just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I totally agree, to be fair. And a wonderful piece of advice. So, of course, National Poetry Day is coming up, which is super exciting. And to celebrate, why not grab a copy of Cloud Soup? A wonderful collaboration of poems and illustrations that is perfect for National Poetry Day. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us. Hopefully it's given some inspiration or just some knowledge about poetry or whatever it may be, and some joy to some people somewhere. And thank you for your time, and good luck with everything.
Thanks so much for having us.
Oh, of course. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.